Peace be to you all. Omar Abdul Malik here, physician associate and health educator. I was asked to speak about the different types of professors in PA school. So I can tell you a bit about myself. I've been a PA and a health educator for more than 20 years now. I used to be an adjunct professor many years ago. So I'm speaking from some degree of experience, no pun intended, and my doctor's in health education. So I'll do what I feel to be maybe the 5 types of professors that you'll have at some point in time. Come through, ladies, on your left. Number 1, good morning.
Good morning.
Number 1 is your kind of generic professor. This professor's got their advanced degree in whatever, and they come in, they give their lecture, they follow the syllabus exactly. They do not deviate one iota. They may not necessarily want to entertain questions, and they have their office hours. And you may not find them particularly exciting or memorable, but that's it, generic professor. Don't really care what you think of them as the student, and they go about their business. Number 2, second type of professor I would say is the cool professor, quote unquote. This is the professor that really craves to be everybody's friend. They let the students call them by their first name. I came from a university, Howard, we didn't do that. It's part of the black culture in many respects. So, everybody's, hey man, say the guy's name is Bob Smith. Hey, what's up guys? Just call me Bob, there's no Mr. Smith, we're all the same. You're here to learn from me, but I'm here to learn from you. Maybe they're kind of low-key flirting with the young female students. Maybe they invite the male students, hey, over for some brews. Hey, you guys want to hang out after class? When do you get out? Let's go get some brews, man. You guys, I know some cool clubs around here. They don't really wear what one would think is professional attire. Maybe ripped jeans, sneakers, a t-shirt with some stain on it, or somebody's picture. I be wary of this type of professor, I would say, because, and I've seen this from experience and observation, sometimes they can cross lines, and ethical lines in particular, relationships with students in particular, and get themselves in trouble. So, you just gotta be careful. I was like this somewhat in a way because I was a young professor. In PA school, the students tend to be older. So I was the age, I was in my early 30s. There were students there older than me. So I was like, hey, just call me Omar. But it came back and bit me in the gluteus maximus because some of the students would step to me like, yo, Omar, I got a bone to pick with you, man. I didn't like the way you made the test questions. Oh, hold on, who are you talking to, man? I am your professor. So you got to be careful with this type of professor because, you got to remember that you're still the student. The professor is the professor, period. So number 3, the antithesis of that is the star professor. So you may have a professor who's semi-famous. They've been on television speaking as an expert. They've written multiple articles, multiple books. Maybe you see them. Maybe you see them on talk shows, or maybe in movies and documentaries. And they may have even written a book that's the required text for your class. And you're like, wow, when you see him, wow, he's much shorter than he is on television, but it's so cool that I got this guy. You usually see these folks at you know, a lot of your Ivy League colleges and very, you know, older, prestigious colleges, quote unquote. Be wary of this type of professor. They may be somewhat megalomaniac type of people. If you ask them a question or challenge what they're saying, it may affect your grade. Like, how dare you challenge me? Don't you know who I am? Don't you watch television? Didn't you see me in the host of some TV show or documentary? Yeah. So, and they can be interesting. Number 4. I hope you guys can hear me. Number 4, I would say maybe what I would call the nutty professor. That's not nice. Well, yeah, I'll say the nutty professor. So this professor they may be brilliant, but that brilliance is lost by their presentation. So they'll come late to class, and I've seen these professors, they're horrible. They're nice people maybe, but they don't have notes ready, you know, there's no handout, they're not prepared. They just come in and maybe ramble on, and they'll ask you, the student, what were we talking about the other day? I don't know, did anybody keep any notes? Hey there, how are you? Morning. The exam that they have may be a very shoddily put together exam. You know, if it's multiple choice, you see all sorts of grammar and spelling mistakes. You're like, this is a horrible repeated questions, because they're using the test bank. Or they may just have you say, okay, I don't know, guys, it's an open book exam. Just describe Krebs cycle. If it's ethics, just, you know, write something about what we talked about in class. It's clear that they're not prepared. Those are horrible. I don't like those professors. I tried to be the opposite of that. Number 5, we're segues to the ghost professor. This is a professor that you may never see, and I experienced this myself. Never see this professor, and they have their teaching assistant or their research assistant come in and teach the class. And I had one tell me, like, I don't like to teach. You know, I don't like interacting with the students. I want to just do my research. You know, if you're a research professor, part of that is that you may be obligated to teach in order to use the university's facilities, their lab and equipment and stuff. A lot of these folks, some of them I would say, don't necessarily like teaching in a classroom. They may be on the spectrum, or they just, you know, crowds being looked at kind of freaks them out. They may not interact with you at all if you happen to see them. So that's the ghost professor. You know, having what I would call a good professor is important, because you may need recommendations from them. So I would say, to the degree that you're able, get to know your professors. They're going to be all sorts of different personality types, combinations of what I mentioned. But you're going to need recommendations from them if you plan on doing extra studies. So I did my doctorate in health education, like I said. I had to go back and get recommendations from some of my professors. And alhamdulillah, some of them were still working. But I did my doctorate years after I graduated. Like 10 years after I graduated. You know, and PA education is unique in that, you know, you may just have a couple of full-time faculty members. Morning. But the other people are adjuncts. And I was an adjunct professor. You know, that meant I got paid to be there at a specific time, and then I had to bounce, you know, to go back to my job. That's another type of professor. Anyway, I hope you guys found that beneficial. I wish you all the best of success in your positive endeavors. I'll leave my contact information. Take care. Peace.